Look, she wanted to make a grand. You're down here. Last, we were waiting for you to make your grand entrance.
Still working me, I'm sorry.
You're supposed to be sad.
Thought you were just not gonna show. So, yeah, I'm just done.
No, never.
Good, that means we can convince her to stay still. Right? All right, it is almost time, 9:59. We live? We're live now? Okay, awesome. All right, good morning, everyone. We are going to call the meeting. I'm sorry, Mike, feedback. What's going on? Live?
Nothing YouTube.
Live now? Okay. All right.
Or the
Yeah.
judge, is a judge.
All right, you're good.
Okay. It's like in stereo for me. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order at this time if we can take attendance first.
The Honorable Missy Maderi,
I'm here.
Mr. James Bethke,
Here.
Honorable Jimmy Blacklock, Mr. Alex Lennon,
Here.
Mr. Jay Cohen,
Here.
Honorable Valerie Colby, Honorable Brandon Creighton, Honorable Richard Evans, the Honorable Emily Mispel here, Honorable Joe Moody, the Honorable David Shank, Honorable John Smithy,
Here.
Honorable James Woolley.
Here.
Judge, we have quorum.
All right. Approval of the minutes. Does anybody have a motion to approve this? Second, thank you. All right, all in favor? All right, okay. All right, let's move on to the chair's report. I have a little and a lot, but not really. First of all, I want to welcome everybody to our August board meeting. It's our final meeting of the fiscal year. Let's mark that Representative Moody is here. For those of you who have not been members long, the August meeting usually has a fairly full agenda that includes decisions on grants that were pushed from the June meeting and approval of the FY 26 budget and items related to the budget, like the formula grant amounts and PPRI contracts. We have more grants than usual to vote on this meeting, as discussed at the June meeting. The legislature appropriated up to and leftover Operation Lone Star funds to be used over the next 2 years to assist rural counties with one-time or temporary indigent defense expenses. Justice Miskell and Mr. Cohen, Jay Cohen, reviewed a lot of these grant applications at the Grants and Reporting Committee meeting last week, and we'll be voting on those applications. So thank you, guys, because I heard that was a good meeting. We'll also be voting on the rules changes related to short-term contracts that we approved for publication and comment last meeting. We did receive 3 public comments, so we'll need to consider those. And according to statute, we need 7 votes to approve a rules change. So members, if you need to leave early, let us know so that we can make sure that we get that vote done. I'm sorry.
Just on that note, there's a couple of things going on at the building next door
I'm here.
that I'm gonna have to jump out for meetings for
Okay.
about 10:45.
Okay, then let's,
Anything that we need to take.
okay, so let's take those out of order whenever we
I'm
need
sorry
to.
for the
It's okay, no
inconvenience.
problem. Thank you. And I'm gonna end with 2 announcements, one that I'm happy to share, and the one that makes us all a little sad. First of all, I can happily announce that TIDC is hosting our Indigent Defense Workshop on October 23rd and 24th at the Texas Association of Counties. TIDC has been bringing together judges, court staff, and other indigent defense stakeholders for this conference for many years to get legislative updates, hear grantee success stories, and discuss basically indigent defense and how we can do it best. Secondly, and I know I speak for everyone here, it saddens me to announce that Sharon Whitfield has announced her retirement from TIDC, and her last day is tomorrow. Sharon has been at TIDC from the beginning, over 23 years, and working for the state for 40 years. Thank you, Sharon, for your service to TIDC, the state of Texas, and the people of Texas. Thank you. There will be a reception for Sharon right after the board meeting down the hall next to the Third Court of Appeals. I hope y'all can stay for a snack and a cake and to celebrate Sharon. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Maderi. First off, wanted to let y'all know about how we're doing on staffing. We recently closed our senior policy analyst position. And we're going to start interviews here shortly, probably next week. Crystal is going to get help with this person on family protection matters, and they'll also be working on policy and improvement projects. Thanks to our interns, Carolyn Fay, Meredith Charlton, and Caitlin Tully, who spent the summer with us, helping us out. And then Elizabeth Harding as well. She's going to stick around. She loved us so much. She'll stick around for the fall. Legislative update, just got off the phone with Senator Zaffarini's staff, and it does not look like, unfortunately, that any of TIDC's omnibus matters will get inserted into the court's omnibus bill. And so with that, I think we will have to try again next session on our substantive bills. And there's a lot of them. So I think we need to have a conversation as to whether or not we want to do our traditional legislative work group process. It's a little ways off. It usually happens in the spring, but we already have a lot of proposals there. So I don't know to what extent we want to add any more. So that's something we should talk about at a future board meeting, probably the next one. Regarding recent activities, last board meeting, you directed me to send a letter to stakeholders and counties with attorneys with high caseloads and high appointment fees. And I did do that. And so if you see on page 17, you will see the letter that we sent out to those counties. Done a number of trips since we met last. Went up to the Panhandle area, met with folks at the Caprock Public Defender's Office, the High Plains Regional Public Defender Office. Unfortunately, they're having some difficulties at that office. They've lost their chief and pretty much all of their attorneys. And so we are effectively kind of starting over with them, except for the admin staff is in place. And so we've been working with their office to reboot. Their chief's position ends. It closes on the 31st. So hopefully they've gotten some good applicants for the chief position, because that's very important, clearly. Also went to the Hill Country Public Defender's Office to talk about our salary study, and was down in Wharton, Matagorda last week with Bill, and they're starting their office up. They're doing a great job in terms of where they're at in the process. Regarding Operation Lone Star, arrests continue to be down significantly. One big change that has happened is the Texas Department of Criminal Justice is going to stop accepting new arrestees into those units that they control, and the Briscoe and Segovia facilities. And with that, it's been determined that central magistration, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have central magistration if they can no longer be sent to those facilities. So basically, everything is going local at this point. Arrestees will be magistrated locally. They will be held locally in the local jails. And so that adds some additional logistical issues, requires a lot more coordination on our behalf. And so Linda Gonzalez may actually have more work to do, since everything is going local. And they still are facing attorney shortages there. So we had a meeting with all the judges last week, and we will continue to work with them to make sure that defendants are magistrated properly, quickly, and they are appointed counsel in a timely manner. Finally, we continue to work with LPDO and Lubbock regarding the outstanding grant amounts under OLS. Edwin Colfax, Deborah, our vice chair, Jim Bethke, and I all went up to Lubbock a month ago, maybe, and met with Lubbock commissioners, stakeholders, LPDO, et cetera. And so Deborah is going to be doing a more in-depth analysis of their books and the accounting, and is working with the auditor, the county auditor to help resolve that matter. So hopefully I will have resolution by the December board meeting. Final item, we have to approve the Texas A&M Public Policy Research Institute's FY 26-27 contract. That is on, at least the summary is on page 18. I do want to note that the total amount is up compared to previous sessions. We're up, it looks like about $150,000 compared to past contracts. And what's really driving that is they have had to hire more development staff for us, coders, to develop our website, data website, which they've been working on tirelessly for at least a couple of years now. And so there's still work to be done, and we want to, get that wrapped up. And so the total amount for the biennium is $871,036, and staff is recommending that be approved.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
All right.
All right,
Thank
thank
you
you,
all.
Pat. All right, Dr. Galen.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm on page 20. I'm going to talk to you about several of our website updates, which PPRI is heavily involved in, and they are working tirelessly for this with this. But in October, November, we're aiming to collect all of our statutorily required, reports on the new data website. I'll make note later of one that we can still, have in the works. Staff have created trainings, webinars, office hours, communication strategy, all around the support for these. And I just have highlighted each one of these. The attorney practice time is in the second year on the website. I've got down all the reporting dates and things like that. Indigent Defense Expenditure Report, it's our second year on the new website. We will be making a few minor updates to do some more error checking, some more user-friendly features, but nothing of significance, but I think Edwin might bring this up later. And then family protection representation, judicial plans. We had a redesign in 2023 on a transitional website. Now that's all coming to this new website. And counties will be just reviewing and updating their plans. So they'll see what they did before, be able to, and for each step, choose to adopt and move forward or make changes. And then the last one, the adult criminal juvenile delinquency plans, that's the one we're making a decision on later today, meeting with the development team, seeing their progress. But the hopes are, if this goes for 2025, we're excited because the new process will walk counties through the process. There will be some multiple choice, some text box. We're kind of moving away from just this mass, text dump, which will give a return investment back to counties. They can start to kind of analyze what their neighbors are doing and understand that, as well as we will have some more valuable insights to our judicial plans for the criminal and juvenile courts. So like I said, we can keep you updated. You'll know for sure in December if it launched, but that mandatory reporting is in November. And so we have to very much today make a decision if that's ready to go. Any questions? I kind of went over that quickly. And then on page 21 for research, we're continuing on with our attorney analysis. I presented, several of the past board meetings. But right now I'm working on expanding our data set all the way back to all of our historical data in 2014. So I look forward to bringing you some more information on that in the next board meeting. But because of that work, we have decided to go ahead and do an attorney survey that will go out. It's leveraging the communication for all of these mandatory reportings that we're doing. We want to give attorneys a chance to kind of tell us a little bit about these things that we don't know. We are seeing trends, but we don't know what is making attorneys leave this work. So we want to ask questions on what's getting them in the work, what's keeping them, what's causing them to leave. And so we will launch that October 1st with our mandatory reporting, and I hope to have some preliminary findings for you guys at our next board meeting. And then as far as
Sarah, who all is that going to be sent to?
it's all of our communication channels, so we're gonna send it to state bars, we're gonna send it to our database of attorneys, we're gonna send it to LADJs. I know I'm missing some because that lot's going in my mind, but
Local criminal defense lawyer associations.
TCDLA, to indigent defense coordinators and court coordinators to send to their list of attorneys. And I think we have one more big distributor.
and chiefs and MAC leaders will get it too. We'll have links, we'll have QR codes, so paper form folks can scan that and do it. Or if they get it in an email, they can participate.
When we get back, I'll send out a note. We've got like.
We really want to lean into that. And we're also
See if we can
hoping.
get-
We're also hoping that this goes out to people who've left the work too. We've framed it in a way that somebody who's done indigent defense and no longer does it, we can still get their input, because that's some pretty important input for us.
That's a good idea. I wonder how else we could get to the people that have already left, right? It's not like they have government pensions,
Yeah,
right? I mean, we can't hook them that way. Anybody else have any ideas on that?
We're hoping that those who have left are still involved in, say, the criminal law section, Texas Bar, or they're on some of our we can put a link in like the Texas Criminal Association or Texas Criminal Lawyers link on Facebook or things like that, where they're taking private cases but no longer taking indigent defense cases. I hope we catch them that way. But a big way is through the Texas Bar and some of their distribution channels.
That's great.
And for the past ones, kind of the public defense leaders, I would rely on, the public defense leaders, because I know we've got probably a list of 25 that we can get sent out. So we can put that out on the TCDLA.
yes, believe me, I will get you the link so that you can help distribute it. We would like to have lots of feedback.
I was gonna say, I agree with the Facebook group idea, because there's some pretty boisterous attorney
They're
Facebook
busy.
groups.
Busy.
Yeah, reaching that left the work group is the hardest to reach, and very important to us to understand.
Nice. Is there a Facebook former?
Yes.
Former
Yeah.
vendor, right?
Yeah. Okay, and then, we've heard you that, FPR or Family Protection and Representation Research is important. And we're working to collaborate with PPRI on a study, mainly looking at the economics of FPR. We've considered, understanding just what's that average cost of case, to try to scale that for us in different ways, to understand then, cost of attorneys and things like that. Evaluating, ideal designs for grants and things like that, and exploring the feasibility of and structure of statewide or FPR, public defense offices. So that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gamble. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Gamble? All right, do you want to move on to that so we can get Representative Smithy and Moody?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's skip ahead to, I believe, do we want to do the research component of that first?
So it's
Okay.
kind of.
Yeah, they go together. So we'll start with 10A, which is on page 63, looking at the historic data on attorneys with high caseloads and payments, talk a bit about that. And then that will go into the discussion about the considering adoption of the amendment to the contract with the program rules, where y'all voted to publish last meeting, and then we got some comments, so we need to talk about the comments as well.
That's good.
I'll take it from here. This is part of it. So you asked for a deep dive into the data, so I did a historical look at both attorneys, counties, and caseloads, all the way back to the inception, so all the way back to 2014, so we can look at these trends to understand. On 63, you're gonna see a graph that looks at the trend of attorneys making over 300,000. For those of you like Sharon who've been around, that was our first threshold, was 300,000. And so I wanted to map that so you could see that trend. And then now we have the new threshold of over 500,000 that we've been reporting on. And so as you can see, it grew slightly over time, but I will say in 2022, we had a pretty strong increase in the number of attorneys making more than 300,000. And you can tell in 2023 and 2024, they may look flat, but doubled the number of attorneys making over 500,000. If you'll follow along to 64, I now looked at that maximum amount. Okay, so previously it was just raw number of attorneys. Now I'm looking at what that amount is. And you can see a similar trend. 2022, we get that increase. 2023, we max out at over 1 million, and it stays close to that in 2024. I'm gonna keep moving to 65, and this is looking at the median amount. The median amount of pay for attorneys has, increased slightly in these, 2023 and 2024 as well. And then looking at page 66, I just broke down, and I can provide this, by other fiscal years, but I looked at the most current fiscal year to look at that, range of amounts. So really there's a small portion of, private attorneys taking appointments that are making over 300 and 500, and the meat and potatoes of it is the 1 to 50K, really you can just say under 100,000. That's what the attorneys in this are making. Then if you move to 67, this is looking at a county analysis. So it's looking at where are those attorneys coming from who are making over dark blue, 300, light blue, 500,000. And it's, so any attorney who made those is on this list, whether or not they made the over 300 and 500 in that one county alone. Does that make sense? Did I say that clear enough? That one's tricky. And so you can see, the greater Houston and DFW, have more of those attorneys that are making over 300 and 500,000. I did also map this for FY23, and it looks very similar. There's just a few counties in the state that have a large representation. And then when we look at caseloads, you see a very similar trend as that kind of first graph, where 2022, 2023, things start to get off the rails with the attorneys making over 3 times. With the number of attorneys over 3 times the weighted caseload. So we're no longer talking pay, we're talking caseloads. Changing the record in my mind too. And then, you can see kind of, it's a little bit more consistent with the attorneys making over 5 times the weighted caseload. And then I threw in, we threw in 69 just as a reminder that this is all happening with the backdrop of just the raw number of attorneys taking indigent defense cases is continuing to decrease pretty, I think, significantly. Went over that rather fast. Any questions or things I missed, Wesley?
Anyone?
Okay, well, that leads into the contract rules. At your last meeting in June, the board voted to publish a proposed amendment to the contract program rules. And that rule is actually on page 72. And it essentially provides that in counties that use short-term contracts of less than 1 week or less than 1 day or 1 week contracts, typically we see, or would be required to set a maximum annual caseload or workload cap for each attorney receiving those contracts. So that's the proposed rule. It went out in the Texas Register in July. It has to lay out for 30 days. That 30 days ran just about a week ago. And during that time, we did get some comments, 3 comments. If you do vote today to adopt that rule, it will become effective 20 days after we file notice with the register that it was adopted. So continuing down on page 70, this is my brief summary of the comments that we received. I did include them. They're on page 73 through 80 of the book. I've already seen them. So the first comment came from the Decent Criminal Justice Reform Center at SMU, Dedman Law School. They support the amendment, and they would urge that the commission go further than the amendment and set a uniform statewide caseload cap based on the weighted caseload guidelines that TIDC developed with the help of the Public Policy Research Institute some years ago, rather than leaving it to the individual counties, because that's the way the rule reads right now. The National Association for Public Defense also supports the amendment, but also urges the commission to go further and adopt a caseload cap for contract systems. So the first one is they want a statewide cap for all indigent defense cases. NAPD suggests that we adopt a caseload cap for the contracts. And then the third comment came from Mr. Steve Hanlon. He's a longtime practitioner and actually worked on the weighted caseload guidelines in Texas, as well as the National Public Defense Workload Standards, which came out just a couple of years ago. He said that we should adopt the commission, the National Public Defense Workload Standards, which are actually a reduced caseload from even the Texas weighted caseload guidelines. Essentially, they're all saying, yes, and we should go further. So if the proposed amendment is adopted by the board without any changes, which is going to be the staff recommendation, we are required by the Administrative Procedure Act to note in the register in our submission when we adopt the rule, a summary of the comments. So that's already done, but then the reasons why the agency agrees or disagrees with the comment. And so that's the part that we need a bit of guidance from y'all on. So if you were to decide that you want to go in a different direction than the proposed rule, perhaps adopting one of these recommendations, we would have to, I think, republish the rule, because it would be a very different rule than just saying, you counties and the judges set standards locally for those contract attorneys. These are much broader, and so that would have to be republished. Another option would be to adopt the rule as proposed, but potentially direct staff, that's going to be our recommendation, to do some research into whether we want to consider, whether the board would want to consider adopting some further or broader caseload standards, perhaps for contract systems or for the whole, indigent defense caseloads across the board. As for reasons, I mean, that's really up to the board to tell us, so we can include that if you do vote to adopt the rule. I mean, obviously, one reason, and we've historically considered, is that the board defers to local courts in setting appropriate maximum caseloads and workloads for the attorneys. Another option, you could say that, and you could also say that you have an intention to review and consider the advisability of setting maximum caseload standards that could align with the proposals here. In other words, you adopt the rule and say you're going to look further. So that is something that I did see in the register in other agencies, adoption of rules where they had comments. Some of them said, we're going to look into that. That may be a good idea for further rulemaking by our agency. So this is kind of an issue of first impression for us, because we never get public comments. So in any event, our on top of page 72 is the staff recommendation is to adopt the proposed amendment as published, and direct staff to research the impact of establishing further rules with setting caseload standards, either for contract systems or potentially indigent defense as a whole.
I'm going to suggest that the proposed amendment be passed today, and then we come back and revisit with staff's input what we should further do. Because what can happen is you pass this, it just says you have to have a max. The max could be 500, so it has no effect. So I think it really needs some further review, but this would be a start. And I would suggest this motion be made, which written here, motion to adopt the proposed amendment to the contract defender program as originally published and research the impact of establishing by rule caseload standards for contract systems and other indigent defense systems. So that's the motion as it is proposed.
Are you making that motion?
I make that motion.
Any second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? I am in agreement with Alex on this as well. I think that we have to do something, but I think that we have to do probably more with the recommendation from staff coming up in the future. And so that is my opinion. I don't think it goes far enough. I think there's loopholes all over the place on it. So, you know, I think we need to take into consideration the letters, the public comments that we've received. Do that at a later time. Anyone else comments?
I agree. I think, I mean, obviously these comments are extremely sensible. And I think they're great aspirational goals over time. But I think we also have to realize that you can't raise the standards without doing the other work, which we're doing to raise the number of attorneys and like, not just raise, but like reverse the decline, right? So I think it's a big system that all the parts have to work together. So starting with something imperfect and keeping these aspirational goals in mind as we work over time to improve the system as a whole, I think is a great direction.
Also, we might want to suggest a timeline for input, because if you tell them it's all due tomorrow, then they go, well, you know, it's almost impossible and it just ends up to be a mess. But if you give them like input over several years or whatever, that it might be much more reasonable, you get less pushback.
How do you suggest that happens, Alex?
Well, I mean, they are doing that. I think it's in one of the letters, might have been Hanlon's letter, about how some of the places, other jurisdictions are slowly doing the national standards over time, but they realize, you know, you need more lawyers because
Right.
you're reducing the dockets of the lawyers you have. So, you know, it has to be done carefully over time like
Right.
that. We can work with the counties that are affected to make sure that, you know, it was doable.
So I guess when we work on this in the future, then Wesley, if we, let's bring to the board a proposed timeline as well as any other suggestions on that.
And I concur with everything that's been said. Really about what Alex said. I don't remember the last time we've had kind of strategic planning sessions. This is something where we really would need to definitely want staff input, but having the full board 2-day strategic planning session to think this through, I think would be very helpful.
But are the high, I don't think the high caseloads are because there's a shortage of lawyers. Because there's a.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very Harris County thing, and there, we do have enough lawyers, and it could be spread out. But there is no plan, and they have no incentive to do that because there are no maximums in place for those folks right now. So it needs to be thought out.
It seems like there could be a maximum that's not even close to the standards of normal lawyers that would at least help.
Yeah. Do we call them?
Anyone else? Yeah, there's a second, and then any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it passes. All right,
We need to go to other things, because there's other policy and standard stuff.
Right.
But you want to go
I
to
just-
other stuff that needs to be voted?
yeah, let's do that. Let's go up to the,
There's one more vote in this section, the next item, but
Oh,
not
okay.
as critical as the grant, so.
okay, go ahead.
This should be quick. It's the next page after that, page 81. Really just one page. This is just an update and another staff recommendation on the distribution of appointments analysis. That really was the analysis that led into the proposed rule that you proposed and now have just adopted. And it's really to do with the distribution of appointments, not caseloads, but they interact with each other. Currently, we look at the top 10% of attorneys and whether they receive more than 3 times the respective share. At the last meeting, you all directed us to consider whether we should change that, as well as to, in the interim, go ahead and start making findings, or not findings, observations in our policy monitoring reports about the systems that are used to make appointments at the individual court level. So we have started to do that. We have an open review in Harris County coincidentally, and that will be part of it. So we've been looking at that this summer, and our recommendation, staff recommendation on page 81 is to direct staff to continue with that process of describing the appointment procedures, as well as including an analysis at the individual court level of the distribution of appointments in our report. So we would still have that analysis, but leave the administrative rule the same, and make the finding still be based on the case level. So all felonies, all misdemeanors, all juvenile cases. And that's because we see that there's a lot of issues with looking at appointments by court, and that's partially because I put a couple of the reasons that immediately came to the fore in our policy monitoring this summer. We saw counties that have frequent transfer of cases between courts. So where the case is disposed is not necessarily who made the appointments. There's some distortions in some counties that can be very significant. And then there's many counties that have a variety of folks locally making appointments outside of those individual courts. So just because a case was disposed in court X, some of those appointments, many of them in some cases, had nothing to do with that court selection. So that's the two of the rationales for why we would suggest this. And we did have a motion to that.
Yes, I'll make a motion to direct staff to describe the appointment procedures and attempt to include an analysis of the distribution of appointments by each court in policy monitoring reports and leave administration rules unchanged.
Is there a second? All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. You want to what do you want to do? You want to finish policies and standards or just move back?
All this stuff, these Joel's.
Yeah,
There's no more votes and policies and standards. If you want full participation, you could go back to grants. I guess it's.
Why don't we just finish up at PNS?
This will take like, between Cody and I, like 2 minutes, maybe. So beginning on page 82, you can see a summary of recent policy monitoring activity. Since our last board meeting, we've issued 3 reports. One was to Galveston, one was to Tom Green County, and one was to Taylor counties. The counties still need to respond to these reports, and to facilitate that, for Galveston County, Ashley De La Garza is going to speak at Galveston County's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council with Tony Fabello. And Natasha George and I are going to go to Tom Green County to talk about local procedures for making appointments in misdemeanor cases. As to other items that we did this since the last board meeting, we did 2 drop-in reviews. One was to LaSalle and one was to Frio County. These reviews are usually informal reviews where we look at a small sample of misdemeanor cases and talk to the county judge. In both of these instances, there were some issues with defendants who were able to request counsel, but those requests weren't getting to the trial court. And we were able to talk to the district judge who's going to try to arrange for the counties to get tech share so they can see events that happen prior to case filing and make appointments as they come in. And then finally, Maverick and Zavala counties. We get monthly data from these 2 counties regarding appointments. I have somewhat of a history of data that's come in. It's not the full history. It's just what will appear on one page for each county. As far as for these 2 counties, we've had some recent events. First, Maverick County has a new indigent defense coordinator. This came about as a result of a TIDC grant. And so far, it appears that this coordinator is helping the appointment process. And second, we have a regional public defender office for the 2 counties. And we're thinking this will address some of the appointment problems that we've seen in the past as well. So that completes my report, and I would like to turn it over to Cody Huffman, who will talk about complaints.
Good morning, everybody. So from our last board meeting, we received close to a dozen complaints, majority of which fell in the criminal defense realm, 3 of which were civil related. Of those, 3 fell within our scope that were considered within our means, which is timeliness of appointment of counsel, attorney-client communication. We received those complaints, referred them out to the proper individuals, and that's pretty much all we have.
thank you. Thanks, Alex. All right, Justice Miskell? No, am I right on Justice? No, it's, yeah, thanks. All right, Edwin and Trustee Smith?
All right, we did meet last Friday on our committee motions that we were going to present to you today, and do you want to walk us through?
Sure. Well, first, before we jump into that, I'd like to direct your attention to page 25 of your meeting materials for just an update on the revenue that's been collected into the Fair Defense account. This is a big part of our funding. The highlight that I'll point to this morning is the year-over-year change for FY 25's collections in the court cost category was up almost $3 million. So this is on page 25, I think I saw that. So that's good news because since COVID and even leading up to COVID, that we had been seeing a steady decline in revenues collected. Moving forward, TIDC's funding is much more weighted toward general revenue as opposed to this general revenue dedicated fund that is accumulates these court costs. But this is nonetheless good news. So overall, 2025 revenue was up 6%. Moving on to page 26 is just a routine update of some of our previous budget years where we still have some grants open and we're working to close out. We have some grants that were made with ARPA funds that were appropriated to TIDC from the Coronavirus Rescue Plan Act. Those are almost wrapping up, and actually this is the last quarter for those. So we're going to be pleased to get those off our books. We do still have a few grants from previous budget years open. Page 27 is our budget to date, actuals to date rather. We have gotten most of the formula grants dispersed. You'll recall that we increased the formula grant award for 2025 to 20.5 million at our last board meeting. And so that amount has been allocated and most of that money has gone out. We do have, as we'll hear in a moment, a number of counties whose payments for the formula grant program are on hold pending their filing of some required reporting to the Office of Court Administration that is still pending. But we are looking to finish the fiscal year in the black based on our projections, and so far so good. Next, we'll go to page 28 in your meeting materials, and I'm going to ask Doriana to give us an update on the formula grant program.
Thanks, Edwin. So on page 28, I'm going to give a quick update on our formula grant special conditions. So when the formula grants are awarded, we do place special condition hold on awards to counties that are not in compliance with plan, reporting, and grant requirements. So the status of special conditions for FY24 last year, we have 11 counties that are not in compliance with court activity reporting requirements to OCA. I and OCA's Judicial Info has been in contact with these 11 counties, and we hope to, either get them on an action plan or get these reports in so that we could disperse their FY24 award. If there are no questions, I can move on to FY25, our current year. As of August 25th, a little after we printed these books, one county has not submitted their indigent defense expenditure report, that is LaSalle County. 9 counties have not submitted their formula grant resolutions, but I have sent out reminders, so I'm hoping to get those soon. 1 county has not completed the approval process for their indigent defense plan, that's Galveston. And as of August 25th, 97 counties are not in compliance with court activity reporting requirements to the OCA. Again, I will say OCA's Judicial Info department has been really good about touching base with counties, and they've been checking in with me almost daily so that we can hopefully by December give you a real small petite number on that. If there are no questions, we can move on to page 29. All right. So on page 29, we have the formula grant request for applications, the RFA, and the budget for FY 2026, so next year. Every year we issue the request for applications to counties so counties can apply for the formula grant program. The draft FY 2026 RFA has been updated with dates, but no substantive changes have been made. The RFA includes the following description and calculation that's on your page. And the way that we calculate the formula grants, every county is eligible to receive the first 15,000 of its share of our FY 26 formula grant budget. So they receive the first 15K in full, and 50% of the county's state population and 50% of the county's indigent defense expenditures from the previous year. So that's calculated on FY 25 numbers. And if there are no questions, we do have motion number 3. The staff recommendation is to adopt the FY 2026 formula grant budget of $20 million.
I'll make a motion to adopt the FY 2026 formula grant budget of 20 million.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. And then motion number 4 is just to issue the RFA.
I'll make that same motion on motion to issue FY 2026 formula grant request for applications.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Back to Edwin.
Thank you all. So page 30 just has a summary of the Grants and Reporting Committee meeting that took place last Friday. That just Ms. Cole and Mr. Cohen participated in. And we reviewed a number of items that were pending. The first batch were a handful of applications through our regular grant program that were left pending to do some additional work and refinement with the county applicants. And we've, thanks to Mr. Bill Cox in particular, we've done a lot of follow-up with those 4 applicants, and we are coming forward with positive recommendations from the committee today that we'll run through in a moment. We also reviewed the applications we've received for the special funding the legislature provided to carry forward unused Operation Lone Star funds, specifically for one-time or temporary assistance to rural regional public defender programs. And we have some positive recommendations from the committee that we'll get into in a moment. And then there were a handful of grant modification requests that the committee took up. So we can go ahead and jump into those items. And we're going to start with just some routine grant modification requests. Eric has the first couple here.
Yes, so on page 31, you'll see we have a grant modification request for Culberson County. This request is an increase for their fiscal year 2026 sustainability grant for an increase of $61,947. The original budget had some placeholder number in there, and so the cost of living adjustment approved by the Culbertson County Commissioners Court was a little higher. And as well, there was also some adjustments to their health insurance premiums. And so we do have a positive staff recommendation to increase the Culbertson County fiscal year 2026 improvement grant award, the regional public defender program by $61,947 to the revised award amount of $3,089,867. And I believe that's motion number 5.
So I'll make that motion. And then we don't need a second on the committee motions that we're about to do. So any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Right, and similarly on page 33, we also have another grant modification request for Burnett County. Similar increase of $61,912. They had a similar cost of living adjustments for the county staff, and their insurance premiums also increased, or in cost increased for their employees. And we do have a positive recommendation for that. I believe it's motion number 6.
All right, so I'll move to increase Burnett County's FY 2026 improvement grant award for the Regional Public Defender Program for the amount stated on page 33. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And Joanna, you gonna take the 2 modifications for El Paso, please?
Well, if I could direct you to page 34, we have a routine adjustment to El Paso's Public Defender Padilla program. They requested an increase in their FY 2025 grant of $4,519 for a revised FY 2026 award amount of $78,217 for the Public Defender Padilla program. This is a routine salary adjustment. The shortage was due to a previous wage adjustment and an increase in fringe benefit cost. If there are no questions, we do have a Grants and Reporting Committee motion, number 7.
And I think if Representative Moody's still with us, I imagine he will need to recuse on this one. So I think he's the only recuse.
All right, then I will move to approve El Paso County's request for a FY 2025 grant budget modification for the Public Defender Padilla program and increase the grant award by the amount stated on page 34. All in favor? Aye.
All right, if I could direct y'all to page 38, this is FY 26 for the same El Paso County Public Defender Padilla program. same thing, based on the budget corrections detailed in their FY 25 request that we just covered. El Paso County requests an increase in their FY 2026 grant of $2,454 for a revised FY 26 award amount of $27,020 for the public defender for the program. Again, we have a grants and reporting committee motion. That would be number 8 on your sheet.
All right, so that's the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Joanna.
And Representative Moody,
Same, abstain on
same
that.
on this one.
Thank you.
Thank you all. A couple of other quick corrections or modifications. On page 39, we need to correct an error on the slate of continuing grant awards that was presented to you all at the board meeting on June 27th. The slate contained an error in the recommended award amount for the Tom Green County Concho Valley Regional Public Defender Program. It included in the recommended award amount the total program budget instead of 2/3 of the total program budget. And so we need to correct their award that was approved on that slate to a revised total of $2,110,729. And we have committee motion number 9.
All right, so I will move to modify the FY 2026 grant award to Tom Green County for the Concho Valley Regional Public Defender Office to the correct amount stated on page 39. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all. And then the last item on the modification section is a handout that I distributed to you all this today. It's not in our meeting book. And we can put that, there we go. It's on your screen here for those of you who don't have the handout. So we have 2 grantees who are receiving regional public defender sustainability grants. And these are small counties that operate multi-county programs. Typically, our grants operate on a reimbursement basis where the county reports their expenditures quarterly, and then we provide reimbursement a few months after when they report their quarterly expenses. So the counties have to basically front the money and then get a portion of it back through our grants. For these smaller counties that are operating regional programs, sometimes this causes cash flow challenges because they have to set aside a sizable amount of operating expenses to float and keep the program going until they get reimbursement. And that really ties up substantial resources for these smaller counties. So what we're asking for here with or what the counties have asked for that we've been working with is to authorize the TIDC executive director to be able to approve advanced grant funds up to 1/4 of their scheduled award for these rural regional public defender programs hosted by Hale and Maverick County. And this would mitigate that challenge. And we have done this with other programs that have had similar issues. So we think it would be very helpful to the grantees to be able to do that. We would be monitoring the advanced funds closely and they would continue to report quarterly, but we would just avoid them having to tie up so much.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Now we can turn to those handful of grant applications that were left pending in June. And these are applications that came under our regular annual grant opportunity for improvement grants. Page 41, the first one is from Atascosa County, and it is for 2 additional staff members to join the Atascosa County Regional Public Defender Office, specifically focused on representation of clients with mental health challenges. This will include an attorney dedicated to that type of representation and a mental health public defender social worker. The county has recently, the district court there has recently developed a mental health specialty court. I believe they received some grant support for that from the Office of the Governor. And we would be funding basically the indigent defense component of that specialty court program. To the extent that there is additional capacity added, the program will be able to provide more specialized representation for this population of defendants. We left this on hold at the June meeting because we needed to further develop the application based on some feedback from our external grant reviewers and from the staff. So we worked with them closely to refine it, to clarify the roles and responsibilities more clearly. And we have a positive grants and reporting committee recommendation, which is motion number 10.
Right, I will move to award an FY 2026 Mental Health Public Defender Improvement Grant for the amount stated on page 41 to Atascosa County. All in favor?
Committee motion, right?
Yes.
Thank you all. Page 42 is an application from Hayes County. This would be to add a mental health division to the existing public defender office that's operating in Hayes County. The program operates under a contract with Neighborhood Defender Service, a nonprofit public defender provider. The program has been up and running in Hayes County for a couple of years now, and they would like to expand their ability to take more cases of clients with mental health challenges. Again, with the support and the specialized support to provide more specialized representation for those folks and get them better outcomes and hopefully stabilize them in the community where possible. So we do have a positive grants and reporting committee motion for recommending this on number 11.
All right, I'll move to award an FY 2026 Mental Health Public Defender Improvement Grant for the amount stated on page 42 to Hayes County. All in favor?
Thank you all. The next item also similarly, and I should mention, I've neglected to say at the outset of this batch that the legislature in its appropriation to TIDC has provided 5 million in each of the past few bienniums, including the 26-27 biennium. $5 million of our budget must be used for mental health public defender programs. So that earmark or budget rider, if you will, these programs squarely fit within that and help us to meet that legislative mandate. So those the first two cover that program, and then the next one as well. So on page 43, we have a request from Medina County. Medina County is the host county of the Hill Country Regional Public Defender Program. They serve 5 counties in the area, and they have requested 4 additional staff who would be mental health caseworkers and a social worker that would work with the attorneys in the program to provide that specialized representation and support for their clients with mental health challenges. We again did some more refinement. We had this application on deck for June, but it was just not quite there. So we worked with them to refine the roles and responsibilities that were described in the application, and we're back with a positive recommendation, which is from the committee, which is number 12, motion number 12.
All right, I move to award an FY 2026 Mental Health Public Defender Improvement Grant for the amount stated on page 43 to Medina County. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all. And then the last of these items that were left pending from June is from Polk County on page 44 of your materials. Polk County is requesting to create a new public defender program. We worked with the stakeholders there who had identified some gaps in their provision of indigent defense that they believe a public defender will help them to rectify. We had some questions with the initial application on this one regarding the way that they budgeted and how they kind of framed the caseload expectations for the staff that would be brought in on this. Again, I want to thank Bill Cox from the improvement team for working with the county to really refine the budget and their plan to implement this new program. I think it's going to make a big difference. The program will cover about half the caseload, indigent caseload in their county, including one of the 2 district courts, and then all the cases coming through or all the non-conflict cases that are coming through the county court of law. So we do have a positive recommendation from the committee, which is motion number 13.
I move to award an FY 2026 multi-year improvement grant for the amount stated on page 44 to Polk County. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all. Turning to page 45 of your materials, this is just a refresher on the special appropriation that the legislature provided for one-time or temporary assistance for existing public defender programs. So I've quoted the budget rider at the top of page 45 here. Essentially, we had some funds that were left over from our previous biennium or this current biennium that we're in for a couple more days. For the Operation Lone Star appropriation, the ledge has allowed us to carry forward up to $10 million of leftover OLS funds specifically to help rural counties with existing programs with one-time or temporary assistance. So based on the board's action at the June meeting, we issued a special request for applications for this program. Again, most of our grant making is to create permanent programs. And since this is one time or temporary, it was a different animal. And so we issued a special request for applications. the types of things that we suggested, but, and this is an incomplete list, that would be eligible for folks to request is on the bottom of page 45. Temporary reduction of their required match for those who are on the sustainability grant program for rural regional public defenders. Recruiting assistance was another suggested request. Indigent defense internships and fellowships. So both of those items, recruiting assistance and the internships and fellowships, directly address some of the key things we went to the legislature for in the last budget process to address the attorney shortages that we've been seeing. By creating public defender internships and fellowships, we're building the pipeline of new attorneys coming into this work. So we believe that that dovetails very nicely with our broader strategy to address that key challenge. And then, of course, the recruiting assistance specifically for counties that have struggled to hire felony qualified attorneys. It's a problem up and down the level of experience, but the problem is especially acute when trying to recruit felony qualified attorneys. So you'll see that some of these requests address that critical need. There are also, we said the technology projects could be eligible, additional special training opportunities. And we did suggest, and we do still hope to see some requests for family protection representation pilot programs in these rural areas that might provide a sort of proof of concept for the positive impact we could have if we are able to get some additional resources from the legislature to invest in family protection. So that was just an incomplete list of suggested uses that might be eligible for this program. If you turn to page, there's a slate of the requests and the recommendations that the committee, the Grants Reporting Committee endorsed on pages 46 through 48 of the meeting materials. And the items highlighted in green are the staff recommendations that were also supported by the Grants and Reporting Committee. Again, you'll see that our standard recommendation for the reduction in required county matching contributions for the sustainability grant program, we want to try to hold some of these funds in reserve and not grant them all out at the outset, because we have there was a very short turnaround time for counties to put in their applications to us for this special funding. So I would frame this recommendation, again, we have roughly $10 million to work with, and the total amount that we're recommending to be approved today is $3,499,181. Again, that 10 million can be used throughout the biennium, the next 2 years. We're looking at this as kind of a down payment on the initial year, and then we expect to come back to you all in December with additional, when the counties have had more time to think about their needs and take up some additional requests. But for now, we have been recommending that those counties that are eligible for the sustainability grant program that their county matching contribution be reduced by 20% in these cases. One exception to that recommendation is that in the case of Hale County, we're recommending that their required county match be reduced by 50%. This is because, as Scott mentioned earlier in his report, his director's report, the program is in a rebuilding mode. They got up to a rocky start. They lost their chief defender and all of their attorneys. The administrative staff, some of them are still there, but we're really kind of starting from scratch. Counties have had to continue to appoint private counsel while the program is trying to work through the cases that are in the pipeline. So we think a little bit of extra assistance to that program in particular is warranted. Other than that, the counties that asked were recommending at this juncture 20% reduction in their county matching funds. So I just wanted to highlight that overall. There are a number of internships and fellowship positions that we've recommended in this slate. There's some equipment, computer equipment, in one case for the Caprock Regional Public Defender program that's based at Texas Tech. They've requested a vehicle that we think is well warranted. And so we're requesting that they can use some funds in the equipment category to acquire a vehicle and some of the associated costs with that. That's a little bit unique in the slate, but mostly, and then the other big category here is several of the counties requested recruiting assistance. The form of that recruiting assistance comes in several different forms. Number one, the ability for when making offers to cover relocation expenses, when you're asking an experienced attorney to relocate to a rural area, it's a tough ask, and being able to offer some relocation assistance is helpful, as well as kind of a signing bonus that would incentivize people to make a change in their practice and relocate to a rural area. So those kinds of things are among the recommendation. In one case, in particular for the Tom Green County office, one of the requests, and this was also requested by Culberson County, was to be able to retain a recruiting specialist or recruiting consultant, the term that in common parlance that's often used as headhunter, to help recruit these experienced attorneys who are qualified to handle felony cases and bring them to these rural communities that have a very intense need to get that kind of representation capacity in their jurisdictions. It's been very difficult. Some programs have had open felony attorney positions for years. And we're trying something new here with this recommendation where they could use these private recruiting consultants to help bring in some qualified and experienced talent to these areas and these programs. So that's just kind of an overview of the types of requests that are here. There's a lot of detail that I'm sure that is probably more than you might want to plot through one by one. Happy to pause with any questions, but we do have the items in green. And on page 48, a committee recommendation to approve the slate as presented here. So let me pause and ask if there are any questions about this section before we.
And I will say in our committee meeting, we did walk through each one of these individually. I'll also note on the discussion about the headhunting. So we're recommending that only for Tom Green County at this point to be sort of a pilot program. And so also the committee suggested that maybe they write up some sort of report on like what worked, what didn't, in case this is something other counties could learn from.
Yeah. Okay, anybody have any questions?
Then I'm gonna move to award these temporary or one-time assistance for existing rural defender programs that are, I'm gonna move as a slate for all of the awards listed on page 46 to 48, and that total award would be $3,499,181. So I'll move on the whole slate, and since this is a committee motion, all in favor.
Aye. Thank you all. Almost done with our grant section here. We, on page 49, we have a proposed budget for FY 2026, starting in just a couple days. And happy fiscal new year, everyone. So at the top of page 49, you will see the various categories of our appropriations. So we have our, the first number there is the fair defense account collections that we have been appropriated. We have much more confidence in that number moving into FY 26 than we've had in the past, in large part because the legislature changed the way that the Office of Capital and Forensic Writs is funded. We used to share the fair defense account with that agency. Now they are funded out of general revenue. And so it simplifies and gives us more predictability and visibility about what revenue will be available to us for the coming year. So that's the first amount of our appropriation there for the general revenue dedicated for fair defense collections. This is court cost collections, state bar fees, et cetera. We have been appropriated again, substantial GR. In fact, most of our appropriations this year or this biennium is general revenue. We did separate that out for how much of it was appropriated for our regular program, non-OLS, and for Operation Lone Star. So we do have a significant appropriation once again of $35,393,324 there for Operation Lone Star. Things have, as you've been hearing, things have changed a lot over time, but the legislature wanted to make sure those resources were there in case things changed, and it has been unpredictable. So that is in our budget from the legislature. And then also we did receive 5.1 million in supplemental appropriations as part of House Bill 500. This was in part to help TIDC because our collections, our revenue in the current biennium was substantially less than what the legislature had appropriated. And this was because of some of the disappearance, if you will, of our jury service fee collections that or revenue that we used to get but no longer get. And as part of their supplemental appropriations, because our revenue declined, they've provided this 5.1 million. So that 5.1 million in revenue for 2026 will not be in our revenue budget for FY 2027, the second year of the biennium. But we are planning to use some of it this year of the biennium and some of it next year of the biennium. And then we also have the $10 million which is being carried forward for Operation Lone Star, unused Operation Lone Star funds from the current biennium that we can use for our rural regional program that you all just considered. So that's the revenue side. The budget side, not a lot of big changes. We're recommending at this point to earmark 20 million for the formula grant program. I suspect that when the dust settles on our budget as we close out our grants, we could bump that up a little bit, but I want to be careful and conservative at the outset. So 20 million for formula grants. The amounts that are in the next couple lines for expenditures, the 36,675,000 figure is how much the board has already approved in improvement grants for 2026. And then the next item of 1.981 million there is what's on the docket for today that you all have just recommended. So everything that has been recommended and approved by the board is factored into these figures. The only other thing that I think warrants being highlighted is that we did adjust the budget for the Public Policy Research Institute contract that Scott talked about earlier. That is shows up almost toward the bottom. It's the 429,000 figure for FY 2026. So that it has gone up. We've talked about why. More or less everything else is in line with what's been in the budget previously. So we do.
Is that $10 million number right? Even though we just approved the 3 million?
Yeah, so that number is a budgeted number for the program.
Gotcha.
And so we've, based on your action just now, we've obligated 3.5 of that 10.
Okay.
And we have numbers remaining. And then you'll see at the very bottom, it appears that we have 3.2 million unbudgeted or available. Because that 5.1 million figure is not going to be there the second year of the biennium, that looks a little more rosy than it is. But if we looked at a biennial budget, we would be basically on track for using but not overspending our appropriation authority. Any questions? Well, we do have motion number 15 to adopt the FY 26 budget shown on page 49.
Did I make that motion? All right, any second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. And then Eric is going to address page 50.
Yes, on page 50, you'll see a request to issue a fiscal year 2025 indigent defense expenditure report manual. Each year, county auditors and treasurers file their IDER with our office. The staff updates those IDER manuals each year. And for fiscal year 2023, there was some pretty extensive revisions. For the future revision, it's mainly limited to family protection representation. We have some amendments in there for Title 4E reimbursements, as well as the attorney detail report for family protection representation. And we do have a positive recommendation to publish this updated manual, and that is motion 16.
All right, is there a motion? Well, I'll just make it motion to publish the FY 25 IDER manual chart with changes detailed. Okay, good. Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Deborah is going to give us a fiscal monitoring program update. Deborah?
The fiscal monitoring report can be found on pages 51 through 57 in the meeting notes. This is a list of activities for the whole fiscal year, but I just want to summarize the activities since the June board meeting. The fiscal team traveled to Cameron County to begin a new fiscal review of that county. This was in conjunction with a policy monitoring review that's going on with them as well. The Randall and Potter County initial reports have been finalized. They are being issued. We have with the policy team. We have a webinar scheduled here in a couple of weeks to go over all the findings. So that's going on. We'll take a look at 3 new counties for the improvement grant review. And these counties were El Paso, Burnett, and Galveston County, and no issues were found. And lastly, I wanted to mention that I had 5 counties submit their comprehensive annual financial reports, half-years and single audits. TIDC funds were selected as the major review for Dallas County, and that auditor reported no findings. And that's all I have to report at this time.
All right, we need to go back up to number 7, are you done with your report, correct? Let's go back up with Crystal now. I think we jumped over her on number 7, family protection representative.
That's on page 23. A little bit earlier in the book.
Sorry,
No problem. We had to vote.
jumped
So
around, yep.
totally get it. We needed to vote while we had people here. Makes sense.
Scott was just gonna adjourn the meeting.
No one cares about kids in here.
Oh.
I'm kidding. Just a joke, just a family rep joke.
But I'm pumped, she'll be here all week.
Taking tips. Okay, let me get serious now. So, real quick, we are finished up with our IDER reviews. It took far longer than I would have liked, but we transitioned to the new website. It's the 4th year of reporting, so I feel like most of the counties are getting on board with what we're asking them to do now. We've still got a few stragglers. We were able to accept 242 counties. Only one has not submitted their family protection report. It was also LaSalle County, unfortunately. The rest of the counties were not approved because of just potential errors on their report that they just have not dealt with. And I would like to get we do usually a yearly report with trends and information, and I want to get that done and finished pretty quickly. So we're gonna go with these 242 for our report. And the number on page 23 looks like it's just over 61 million that's been reported, which is within the range of what counties have been spending over the last few years. On Title IV-E, we are making progress. Not as fast as I was like, but I do think we're making some pretty good positive progress. We continue to meet regularly with the department. We met with them back in July, and then we met with them very recently, back on August 20th. We had a really positive meeting. We're working on creating a SharePoint folder where we're gonna share documents. They're open to feedback that I've been giving them about improving some of their forms. And so we're working really well together, I think. They are gonna send staff to co-present with us at our ID workshop. Excuse me, we're doing a session on Title IV-E and how to claim 4E. And we're happy that they're sending someone to come and talk with us to give that information. I'm also doing a little bit of technical assistance with a few different counties so that we can hopefully start getting those reimbursements. And I did apply for a grant with the Children's Commission to do a full 4E program. We talked about it at the last board meeting. I've applied for that. I'm hoping to get an answer soon in the next few weeks within September, and hopefully we'll be able to really start ramping up if we get that grant and a new staff person, fingers crossed. We are also engaged in a collaborative project with the Children's Commission. We are, we're working on a survey about pre-petition work. So pre-petition work is providing legal representation to families before a court case has been filed. And this is a very hot topic in child welfare law. People talk about this all the time. There's a lot of action that happens before court in CPS cases that can really impact families and children, due process implications, whether or not children end up in foster care. And this is something that the Children's Commission has been focused on a lot. I serve on a few committees over there, and we talk about this topic a lot. And the survey has been put together to get a better understanding of child welfare stakeholders' understanding of what pre-petition work really even is. Because through our discussions, it has become clear that people have different ideas of what this means. And so if someday we're gonna start working on system building that might include pre-petition work, it's probably a good idea to understand what the needs are, what people think this is. So we're working with them. Dr. Sarah has done great work putting a Qualtrics survey together for the commission. To give you some background, the survey questions have gone through multiple committee review and revision. There's a lot of people on those committees think Justice Miskell has served on a few of those maybe at some point. And so there's been a lot of feedback on that survey, so the survey that will be going out has been thoroughly reviewed. And I believe that the commission will be putting that out in the next few weeks. Sarah, I don't know if you have anything you wanna add about that, but she's done great work putting that survey together.
I think we'll also let you know of that survey as well, so you can help extend this out to any networks that you may have as well. So they're leading that communication effort. We'll also incorporate it into ours as well.
And I think we'll get some really interesting information about that as well, as far as what local needs might be and just the problems that people are facing locally in their communities. And then I've just, been doing some presentations and participating in some work groups and committees that are listed here. But for now, that's what we've got going on. I'm hoping I'll have some very positive updates for y'all at our next meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Where are we now, Scott?
Improvement team, I believe.
Good yeah.
morning.
So-
Very briefly on the improvement team. We're continuing to work on revising our planning study process to look at what has worked for counties, where there have been challenges that have arisen for counties. One of the biggest ones being that we prepare planning studies typically in the late fall and early spring as counties are getting ready to apply for improvement grants for a program that then will not start until the following fall. And so we're looking at how to be sure the salary projections are as accurate as possible and to give counties as detailed and information as possible as they're planning, doing their grant applications, hopefully minimizing grant modifications coming in that first year and also assisting them as they start getting their staff on board and get their programs up and running. We've continued to provide a lot of technical assistance this quarter. One of the biggest, I want to really give kudos to Natasha George, who's led our work on our stakeholder manual. We provided the first copy to the Wharton and Matagorda team. This is looking at literally the challenge from congratulations, you have gotten a grant. County stakeholder team, these are the things that need to happen to get your oversight board in place, get your interlocals developed, get your chief's job description, and then recruit your chief. And then what the transition going over to the chief looks like. And then Ashley's leading our second piece on that, which is going to be the chief's toolkit. That a lot of our chiefs have described, in fact, the idea came from our chiefs in terms of everything I wanted to know, wish somebody had told me when I got this job. That would have made things much easier and helped me to be more effective in my role. We provided technical assistance to the Travis County Juvenile Court, to the Wharton and Matagorda, which I believe will be the Lower Colorado Regional Public Defender's Office. A lot of work with High Plains, supporting them with their challenges and their new chief search. Potter County's MAC program, and also the Far West RPDO. And we are actively working, as Judge Maderi pointed out, on preparing for this fall's Indigent Defense Workshop. We hold it every other year after the legislative session, both to provide updates and highlight best practices for counties as they look at how to improve their indigent defense programs. And then we have been working very closely with the data team on the revision to our data website and getting ready for the new work for indigent defense plans. And as Dr. Sarah pointed out earlier, a lot of our work has been focused on answering the questions counties have been asking us since we started collecting data. How do we compare to our neighbors? How do we compare to similarly sized counties? How do we compare to statewide averages? And so with the launch of the new plans, we will be able to give them that information. The other part, as I've said to people, is like, I've had to deal with several of my utilities this year that said, we've updated our system. You have to re-register. There is going to be some work in that, but unlike my utilities that just send me another bill, we're going to be giving a significant return on that investment back to counties so they can better assess their programs and how to meet their local needs. I also want to compliment Ashley De La Garza for being selected to be part of the national faculty for Gideon's Promise, which is one of our partners for Fiddle. She was in Atlanta for 2 weeks this summer, teaching the national class and bringing those skills back for when we launch our next class of fiddle for 6.0 in the spring. And then I want to pass over to Kristen Meeks for a recruitment update.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. The quick update is we're doing PD days at Texas Law Schools this year. We either have confirmed dates or received dates from at least 7 law schools at this point, either for the fall or the spring. We are going to continue to work with our wonderful partners at these law schools to reach out to students. And I do want to do a big thank you in advance to the team who's working with me on this that's here at TIDC. So Cody Huffman, Ashley De La Garza, and Kenitra Brown. Those are the highlights.
Right. Scott, am I missing anything else? Just the next meeting?
I think we.
Have I skipped anyone else besides Crystal? All right. Next meeting then? What is our date on that?
Friday, December 5th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. is the next board meeting. Friday, December 5th, and we will be right here once again.
Okay. Any new business, anything? Any public comment? Got all these other people out here, no public comment. All right, then at this time, if there's nothing else, then we're gonna stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. So we will, once again, Sharon's party is going to be